should we hit the big one?
The big incident.
Should we go to lap 48? Where Lewis got a fantastic exit out of turn 3 and was only 4 tenths behind Max before he opens up his DRS, and then uses his DRS to get alongside Max heading into turn 4. And as they approach turn 4, Lewis is on the right-hand side of Max, actually slightly ahead as they enter the corner. So Lewis has that, not racing line, but Lewis has earned the right to be on the track. It's not like he's lunging back from 20 meters and is on a barrel into Max. He's actually earned the right to be on that piece of track at that time. Now, this is where it gets interesting, Alex, because nobody knows. But both Lewis and Max go very wide off the track on the right-hand side of turn 4. It looks like Max opens up the steering wheel or opens up his steering and doesn't use the corner like he normally does, or just slightly lets off his steering to go a little bit wider. And he uses this to force Hamilton off the track and maintain the lead. Obviously a little bit controversial. Now, for everyone who's a Verstappen fan listening to this podcast, give me a second. Because this move has been done time and time again, and it's been done by most drivers on the grid when they want to secure a position. And this is where we have a little bit of a problem with the inconsistency of the FIA, and we'll touch on that in a minute. So the move itself, I think, was they didn't touch. So actually, it's far cleaner than what Max and Lewis have done before. And given their history at sprint races and then the Sunday race afterwards, I'm glad they didn't touch, because it certainly looked like they would do at a time. It was a racing move. It was clean in the essence that they didn't touch. It was hard racing, but was it fair? That's the question everyone is asking. And did it warrant a penalty? Because I've seen some stuff online from Hamilton fans saying it does warrant a penalty, and obviously Verstappen fans are saying the opposite. However, there's some people who are Verstappen fans saying, well, actually, that probably does deserve a penalty because this has been done time and time before. Now, what we really needed, was this amazing piece of footage, which still hasn't come out yet, of Max Verstappen's forward-facing like helmet cam, but like cockpit cam kind of helmet level, where we can see his steering wheel, the T-cam. Is that what it's called? Did you say?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. We needed this view, and this view hasn't materialized whatsoever. And we were talking yesterday after the race, like, this is the one piece of footage which would clear up everything. But don't worry, because the FIA, obviously the people in control of Formula One and have all this raw data at hand, would have clearly seen this footage and used it to make a decision on whether this incident should be at least noted or investigated, or whether a penalty should be given. Now, ultimately, no penalty was given, and the stewards didn't even investigate the incident because they didn't seem it worthy. But we've heard on the radio, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on, the team radios to the FIA, which I do find quite amusing, but Alex is very strongly opinionated on, that Michael Massey, was it Michael Massey on the radio, who said, we've looked at all the data, we're working on it, we're just having a look, don't worry, we've got it all. And then it was no investigation necessary, crack on with the racing. Which shocked everyone. Well, it didn't shock everyone at the time, because we all thought that they had the onboard footage of Max, and clearly it showed him going full lock to the left. But we've learnt later on, after the race, that the FIA actually don't have access to this video feed at all, and they've only got the rear footage from the Red Bull car and the front and rear footage of the Mercedes car. So how they've not come to, or how they've made a decision without that footage, I don't know. Now, in one hand, I'm glad that a decision was made during the race, because I get really disappointed when decisions aren't made during the race, and we have this, amazing race. We've got this great podium, but yet we're not quite sure who's actually won the race. I mean, it's happened to Carlos a couple of times where he's not been on the podium because a decision has been made after the fact. But equally, making a decision during the race on data which I don't think is actually reliable or sufficient enough is a little bit, concerning. I don't know how I feel about that, because the one piece of footage they did need, they don't have access to, which is worrying. Now, I've been rambling on for some time now. So, Alex, I've given you the situation. What do you make of it? What do you make of the move itself and the whole discussion around it, and the lack of penalty or the lack of investigation at all?
Well, there's an image of the two of them at the point where they're off track.
Mm.
And it's pretty amusing how far away they are from the track. I mean, the apex isn't even in shot. They're miles, both of them are miles away. As I understand it, because the incident was only noted and was not actually investigated, they only had access to the footage as it was broadcast. So that's why they didn't have the onboard. Why they didn't investigate it seems to be to do with this whole, we're just going to let them race. That for whatever reason, they deemed that to be the best or least worst option. The trouble is I don't mind if they want to go for that kind of attitude, if they want to take that approach. Just let them race. Yeah, they might shove each other off every now and again, but one week one of them will do it to the one person, and next week, it'll be the other way round. So it all kind of averages out, and it's better than, like you said, them disrupting the flow of it by they're racing, but also there's going to be some investigation after it, and it just kind of spoils what is supposed to be immediate and is supposed to be happening right in front of you, is unfolding before your very eyes. You lose that sense when there's some investigation to do after the race. So I don't mind them taking that point of view if they took that point of view all the time. And the difficult matter of having slightly different stewards at different races, and you have incidents like Norris and Perez, that incident in Austria, which is very, very similar in a lot of ways. Norris getting a penalty for supposedly shoving him off the track. And that was what was in the steward's notes. Their justification was that there was a car alongside, he had right to room on the track and wasn't given it, and thus it's a penalty. Yeah. So in that sense, it's an almost identical incident, and yet it wasn't even investigated, never mind not given a penalty. So it's very, very confusing. That's the issue. That's the main problem here, is that there's just not enough consistency. And Michael Massey says, oh, no, it's different because we looked at the situation and, he was a little bit vague about it. I do understand that the nature of the corner being downhill, quite sweeping, there's a fair braking zone, but you can also carry a lot of speed through it, and you need to sort of sweep to the outside of the corner to maintain your momentum. So if Verstappen had reached that corner and sort of just been very, very, extremely conciliatory and just left plenty of room for Hamilton, he's basically giving up the corner because you just don't have enough momentum going through the corner to maintain as much speed as the person going on the outside. And I don't expect Verstappen to just let Hamilton by. That would be
absolutely
rubbish.
Not. Yeah.
So I find it difficult to say whether or not I think it's a penalty, because we still haven't seen the onboard, and it still just seems like I would rather there be a consistency in whether or not we're actually going to let them race, because it seems that 1 week, if you look at the incident that we had in Monza where Verstappen crashed in, I was quite prepared to say that was a penalty, because it seemed ridiculous that Hamilton would have to take this really long, wide out angle in order to let Verstappen have enough room.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of a similar situation, but the other way around. So I don't really know what to make of it. It's so inconsistent from the stewards, and the fact that we don't have all the information, it's very hard for me to be definitive. Maybe that seems like a bit of a cop-out, but I'm not actually a steward, so it doesn't really matter.